Some people have been annoyed that I made my earlier video a bit cryptic, but I honestly didn't want to get involved in the polemics of what is going on in the church, because you will spend all of your time in this, you'll be drawn into it, you'll lose your inner peace by what's going on. And, as I said, these are the times we live in. I just wanted to draw some people's attention to the fact that this Friday, apart from being Candlemas, is also the feast of Our Lady of Good Success. And this was an apparition in Quito, Ecuador, 400 years ago. And Our Lady warned us about these times. So what was going to happen in these times, the times we live in? She spoke about widespread moral corruption, profanation of the sacrament of matrimony. I mean, most people don't get married today. Depraved priests who will scandalize the faithful and cause suffering for good priests. Unbridled lust, which will ensnare many souls. Loss of innocence among children and loss of modesty among young women. Lack of priestly and religious vocations. And a period of catastrophe followed by a period of restoration. Now, it's not just Our Lady of Good Success that is speaking about this. It's not just that apparition. I mean, that happened 400 years ago. But if you read everything that Our Lady has been warning us about since Our Lady of Akita, or since Our Lady of Buen Success, Our Lady of Good Success in Quito 400 years ago, up to today, we can see, Our Lady hasn't failed to forewarn us and to prepare us. Okay, so when you see the confusion in the church, which is a reality, just know that Our Lady warned us about this. And what did Our Lady ask us to do during this time of confusion? She asked us to pray for the Pope. She asked us to pray for our bishops. She asked us to pray for our priests. She never said divide the church. She never said hurl abuse at bishops and priests. She never said criticize them. She never said... I'm just relaying what was in these messages. She never said, go off and form your own church. She never said, be schismatic. She never said all of these things. She said, pray for the Pope, pray for priests, pray for bishops. But we recognize, as Saint Paul VI has said, this is what Saint Paul VI said, the smoke of Satan has entered the church via a crack. That was his words. And what the smoke that entered hasn't left the church. The smoke of Satan hasn't left the church. It's just enveloped it a little bit more over the last number of years. So we see incredible confusion. We see bishops who don't know how to be pastors. They are administrators of their dying church, chasing the woke culture that will never be appeased by anything the church does. They will never care. Same with the German bishops, trying to appease the woke culture of the day. The culture couldn't care less about the church. It couldn't. That's the reality. The culture, the great motto of the Carthusians is, the cross stands still while the world turns. And we have to be leaders in the faith at this moment in time. So while it can be very difficult, and I'm sure it is for me that loves the church, it's very difficult to see, we could be doing so much more. We could be doing so much more for the faith. We really could be doing so much more. So many resources that we have in Ireland. We could be doing so much more. But our Lord is allowing this time to happen for a reason. And, I know where I'm placed in all of this. I wasn't called to be a priest. I'm not a bishop. But I can rally the laity to love the church, to, be there to help others find that encounter with Christ. Remember, it's not just a personal relationship with Christ we need. It's union with God. That's where we're called to, union with God. The world needs saints. And in the midst of all this confusion, at a certain moment in time, God will intervene in all of this. The same as back 500 years ago during the Reformation. We saw the loss of faith in Europe, Northern Europe. We saw the Reformation. the confusion. We saw in Ireland penal times. And during that period in Europe, at the same time we saw in the New World, in Mexico, we saw that great prophecy being fulfilled that they knew was coming. As I did a review of that book, we saw Our Lady of Guadalupe intervening in a very miraculous, mysterious way into the history of Mexico. The hand of God involved, and we see before Our Lady of Guadalupe missionaries struggling to preach the gospel, struggling to be in that missionary territory, and immediately after Our Lady of Guadalupe we see the colossal flood of people into the church looking for baptism. They saw the sign, and at the same time that's going to happen in this period of the church. In his time, God will reveal his hand in the midst of this confusion. And it's our duty now to pray, to know the faith, defend the faith, know what is sin, know what is not sin. So that you can respectively say to priests and bishops, no, that's not the Catholic faith. That's not the Catholic faith. We've had a month now discussing unions, couples, what we can bless and what we can't bless, and distinctions and so forth. It's okay. We're going to let the church have their back and forth of confusion. You've had 2 years of synodal process that you completely disregarded to create confusion in the church for the last month. That's okay. And now you're going to kick off this synodal process again. Well, this month of confusion, you could have kept it in your synodal process, but you decided not to. That's okay. The confusion will continue. And as I said, Our Lady warned us about this time of confusion. This time of confusion in the church. We're not able to teach the basics of our faith anymore, but we're able to pander to the most woke ideology, the rainbow washing of the church, and it is very sad. So pray for the church. That's my message to you. But as I said, woe to the bishops and priests that don't see the signs of the times. Woe to the bishops and the priests that can't read the signs of the times. You can't read it. Are you blind to the signs of the times that we live in? Especially Irish bishops, which have a millennial old history. Millennial old. Over 1,500. We're celebrating 1,500 years of St. Bridget in Ireland. It was the Irish monks, for example, that brought us the scriptures that we read today with the spaces between the words and stuff like this. It was the Irish church that had such a pivotal and instrumental ability to preach the gospel in anew in Europe. It's really important that the Irish church reads the signs of the times. Our Lady has been warning us for a reason. This is real. It's not a joke anymore. It's not a joke. She's been warning us for 400 years. No wonder the people are saying, why is she appearing every day? I mean, just look at the last message from Our Lady in Medjugorje. What did she say? Let this time be a time of prayer. And she didn't say, thank you for responding to my call. Because we haven't responded to her call. Let this time be a time of prayer. And she left it at that. We haven't responded to our call. So this is a time of prayer. It's a very sad time in the church, and it's a very sad time in the world. But it's a time that we need to pray. No point in protesting now, no point in causing division, no point in lambasting people, no point in being agents of Satan. We need to be agents of Christ, be apostles of Christ. Blessed. In this Sunday's gospel, we'll be reading the Beatitudes. It'll be in Matthew chapter 5. We'll be reading through that at the, actually the readings this Sunday are absolutely beautiful. But the gospel this Sunday, Matthew chapter 5, blessed are the peacemakers. We need to be the peacemakers because that's what Christ is calling us to do. But recognize the confusion. Recognize the confusion, but be peacemakers in the church. Bring people to Christ. At the end of the day, it's only Christ. It's only Christ that is able to transform us. And we need to bring people to that personal encounter with Christ and encourage those who could do more to do more. But pray for the church. Let's not divide the church, but recognize the signs of the times. Our Lady of Good Success, it's this Friday. And, it wasn't just Our Lady of Good Success. She predicted that there would become a pope who would define papal infallibility in the Immaculate Conception, which happened. And we've seen the confusion now played out that was prophesied 400 years ago. We've seen the confusion that was prophesied in La Salette. We've seen what has been prophesied in Fatima. We've seen especially in the last century, so many times Our Lady has warned us. In Kibeho, in Rwanda, she came to prophesy. In Medjugorje, in Garabandal, in Akita. Akita's prophecy couldn't be clearer for you guys if you wanted something. Look at what Our Lady's been saying and look at what is happening in the church. Maybe we're off course. Maybe we've lost sight of the truth. Pray for the church. And again, I give this in a good spirit, not to divide anybody, not in a spirit of hatred. As I said, we should do what Our Lady said. Our Lady has said in all these apparitions, pray for the Pope, pray for bishops, pray for priests. But I wouldn't like to be a bishop going before our Lord. I wouldn't like to be. And our Lord is going to ask them, what did you do? Well, we had loads of schools in Ireland, but we didn't teach the faith. We could have offered adoration in schools, we didn't bother. We could have offered sacraments and we didn't bother. We had a seminary and we just let it go. We just let it get corrupted. And I could say more. Let this time be a time of prayer. I think Our Lady has said it all in that message in Medjugorje, in my opinion. God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye.